what he's doing kind of starts within him, and it starts very organically, and it sprouts outward from his core into his joints, and he's doing things now in a pattern that are more normalized for babies who are not affected by brain injury. So we're seeing that innate wisdom come out of him because we're giving him the right internal tools for the toolkit that babies experience naturally. And it's wild because I've heard Linda, as you know, I've heard her talk about this so much, because it's the central thesis of all that she does. But until you really see it for yourself with your own child, it's purely academic. But when you actually see it, when you see it actualize in front of you and your own child, it's extraordinary. The gains outwardly look very, very small. Um, but already in that short period of time, I remarked to Linda this morning. He's very clearly breathing more deeply, and he's doing so without thinking about it. So it's clear that his diaphragm has woken up just in that very short period of time. To some extent, he's breathing more deeply at night. His bowel movements have become more regular, so he's experiencing less discomfort. As a result of that, he's sleeping better. Additionally, and related, just very suddenly yesterday, out of nowhere, he had previously had reflux, just so terrible that we had to medicate him. But yesterday and thus far today, I swear it, Ken, he's had zero reflux. Zero. He hasn't vomited once today, and he didn't vomit at all yesterday, which for him to go a day without vomiting is like a miracle. And of course, the esophagus and the lower esophageal sphincter goes straight through the diaphragm. So it makes logical sense that these things should be happening. We knew academically that these things would happen over time with progressive work, but I don't think we expected it to happen for him quite so quickly. He's gotten progressively more comfortable lying on his stomach. One of the things that we've done consistently throughout is this routine of patterning for him, and then the patterning um, shows it twists his lumbar spine and his pelvis, and moves his knees up and down as a normal baby would do, and um, and that's kind of the precursor to crawling, of course, where they start to move for their own benefit because it feels good, and then they discover propulsion associated with that. He wasn't really doing that at all 4 days ago, and now if you hold his arms kind of into his sides, he will sit there and he will rock himself back and forth and move his knees back and forth and move up and down on his pelvis and twist himself back and forth, and he's trying to start to crawl. He's trying to start to crawl. So we granted have a long way to go because he still has quite affected arms and reduced circulation in his upper extremities, but the patterning is very clearly working, and that the diaphragm is clearly strengthening, and his pelvis is clearly opening and strengthening, and it's all starting to happen. We've spent so much money and so much time going to so many intensives, and what would happen was he would be stronger, very strong, much stronger, much more capable for a period of time, and then he'd have a growth spurt, and then he'd lose all of those gains slowly, or sometimes not so slowly, and then we'd be right back to where we started, this floppy guy on the floor who's, just kind of struggling to figure out what to do with himself. Um, it's very clear that I mean that just didn't work, right? He's almost 4. Um, I I can't imagine there being any other path forward than this, candidly, because you're solving one of the fundamental root problems that these children have, which is a weakened respiratory capacity and weakened internal musculature and framework that allows them to do everything that all of the physical and occupational therapists are trying to get them to do. So, so yeah, I don't think there is another path forward.